it's Elise here at the teen section here at Bowman Library with another Teen Book Spotlight. So this week, in case you didn't know, it is International Gaming Week, and I thought that would be a great launching point for our theme for this week. So we are going to be talking about books that have some sort of gaming feature to them, whether it's a board game, a virtual reality game, a role-playing game, a jigsaw puzzle, a maze, whatever. Anything that could be a game. So we have 6 titles that have something along those themes, and we're going to get started. So we're going to start with The Eye of Minds by James Dashner. So VertNet is a virtual reality world that you can enter and you can do whatever you want. And it's even better for Michael because he has these epic hacking skills, and that just makes the game even that much more realistic and that much more free. So when Michael sees a person commit suicide on VertNet, he knows he did not see what he thinks he saw, because you cannot do that within the virtual world of VertNet. Michael is then captured by VertNet security agents and is recruited to find this hacker that's in this underground, and it's causing people to actually do things that are like committing suicide. Because here's the thing with VertNet. What you do on VertNet doesn't have any impact in the physical real world, but this hacker is finding a way to make them connected. So what you do in VertNet can actually impact you in the real world. Michael and his 2 best gaming friends set out to find this underground hacker, but it's not going to be as easy as what it seems, and danger can come around at any point, both in reality and both in VertNet. And this is going to turn out to be a matter of life and death. The first in a trilogy. If you love gaming and virtual reality, you will be right there with all of the action. The Eye of Minds. Another one of my favorite authors. This is For the Win by Cory Doctorow. One of the things I love about Cory Doctorow is he takes something that's like a real life issue and writes about it in a way that you never kind of thought about, but then it makes kind of total and complete sense. And that's what happens with For the Win. So in the near future world, there is a huge market of massively multiplayer online role-playing games. It is so huge that there are teenagers that are forced to work all over the world for these huge corporations, that the goal is for these teenagers to play these games and amass such like enormous amounts of game wealth, but then this game wealth is then sold by these corporations to other players, usually in the Western world, at a profitable margin. So these teenagers are employed for wages that are so minimal, they're like below minimum wage, and the working conditions are deplorable. So they decide they're going to do something about it, and these teenagers get together and they form a union. And with the help from gamers all over the world, they start to make change, but the wheels of progress are not going to roll that easy, as they start battling these corporations that only view them as money makers, and they view money more important than people, and they can do whatever they can to keep their money. It's a look at gaming through a global lens that also examines concepts such as economics, unions, inflations, and social justice. You'll be cheering for these gamers as they take on these corporations and they fight to have the right to make some money. For the Win. A Game of Sunken Places by M.T. Anderson. And there's something I love about M.T. Anderson is he has this super awesome ability that he can write in basically almost any genre. And he goes from like dystopian science fiction to historical fiction, and now we're jumping into fantasy with the Game of Sunken Places. So friends Gregory and Brian have been invited to go to Vermont and visit Gregory Weir's Uncle Max and his cousin Prudence. Uncle Max is clearly still trying to live in Victorian times, because when he picks them up in a horse-drawn carriage. And then when they get to the house, he burns all of their luggage and forces them to wear Victorian-style clothing. And if that wasn't weird enough, then things start to get even weirder, because they find a board game at the house, and on this board game, they see Uncle Max's house, and then new places start to actually appear on this board game. And then the game kind of comes to life, and they find themselves having to fight monsters, and they are making friends with these creatures they've never heard of, and they are discovering underground cities, and they're trying to like solve riddles, and there's these like weird rules that they are discovering along the way that they almost like can't keep up because they almost keep changing. And this adventure fantasy will keep you guessing and just as confused as Brian and Gregory as they're playing this game. And you might find yourself wishing that maybe you could get sucked into a game that comes to life, or maybe this book is going to be like, yeah, I really don't want that to happen. The Game of Sunken Places. The Killing Woods by Lucy Christopher. So we're kind of going to like another extreme here. So Emily wakes up one morning and sees her dad coming out of the woods, carrying the body of a dead teenage girl. Suffering from PTSD, he is quickly accused and arrested for this murder, but Emily knows her father has had nothing to do with this, and she decides, since no one else is going to decide he's innocent, she needs to prove it. So as she starts to investigate, she soon finds out that the dead girl, whose name is Ashley, was out in the woods that night with her boyfriend Damon, and they were playing what is called the game. And he has no memory of what happened that night. The mystery suspense will have you on the edge of your seat while you try to figure out what the game really is and what happened that night. The Killing Woods. I felt like we could not talk about this book when we're talking about this theme. So this is The Maze Runner by James Dashner, one of my favorite series. So Thomas wakes up not knowing where he is, but soon realizes he is in a completely dark elevator that is moving up. When the doors open, he finds himself staring at 60 other boys in a place that he soon finds out is called the Glade. It is there that they are completely self-sufficient, and a new boy shows up every 30 days. Thomas soon finds out that there is way more than just going on and living in the Glade. The Glade is actually the center of a maze, and every morning the doors open to this maze and runners go out with the goal of trying to find their way through this maze. The only issue is that the doors close every night, and you do not want to be left outside those doors. I promise you, you do not want to be left outside. But then the next morning, when the gates open again, the maze has completely changed. Like, what you figured out the day before doesn't count anymore because it is completely different. I love this science fiction dystopian novel, and each book in this series gets better. I promise. This is one of the few series I have read that each book somehow gets better than the previous one. So I'm going to tell you, you probably should read this book. If you watch the movie, don't base it on the movie because the movie was honestly pretty horrible compared to how amazing this book is. The Maze Runner. And our last one for this week is Panic by Lauren Oliver. So, growing up in the small town of Carp, New York, it is up to you to create your own entertainment. So, in previous years, that's been passed down through the generations, every year the group of seniors get together and they play a game called Panic. The rules of the game are easy. You have to go through a potentially deadly set of challenges, and the first person who does them all wins, and they take the pot of money, which for this year is $67,000. Heather decides she's going to play this year on a whim, while Dodge joins because he really, really needs the money. They soon form an alliance and hoping it's going to help them face the challenges that they're going to have to go through, but it is not going to be as easy as what they think, because then as soon as they start playing, secrets and fears and choices start to impact every aspect of the game. You will be on the edge of your seat reading about the various challenges the characters have to complete and waiting to see who makes it and who does not. And you're going to find yourself asking yourself, could you actually do what they're doing? And would you be willing to do it for $67,000? So that's going to be up to you and you alone. Panic by Lauren Oliver. So these are just 6 of the books that we have here at the library that feature games or puzzles or mazes or virtual reality or any type of combination. So we we encourage you to come on down and either take a look at these, or maybe we can help you find something else. I hope you tune back next week when we have a brand new Teen Book Spotlight with a completely different theme, and I hope you have an amazing week.